As millions of Jewish Americans prepare to celebrate the second night of Hanukkah, people all across the country are taking this time to rally behind Jewish communities and condemn anti-Semitism.
2021 set a record for the number of anti-Semitic incidents, and that number is expected to stay high for 2022. I sat down with a rabbi here in the Miami Valley to find out how he's addressing this rise in hate and what people can do to become allies.
This is not a new problem.
Dr. Aubrey Glazer is the rabbi at Beth Abraham Synagogue in Dayton.
It is a wonderful community of people who are caring, compassionate, critical, and curious about their Judaism.
Like many leaders in the Jewish community, Rav Aubrey has been watching the rise in anti-Semitism over the last few years, even seeing incidents here in the Miami Valley.
It worries me and it troubles me when I see, for example, neighboring communities here within the vicinity where Sunday morning sermons start out with "the Jews hate us." To me, that's just a foundational problem.
2021 set a record for the number of anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. According to the Anti-Defamation League, which audits these incidents annually, there were more than 2,700 reports of assault, harassment, and vandalism, and the group expects that number to remain high for 2022. Rav Aubrey believes social media plays a major role in spreading anti-Semitism and misinformation about Judaism.
It profoundly disappoints me that intelligent and talented people in the entertainment world use their platforms to disseminate and to normalize hatred.
He believes a large part of the problem is a lack of knowledge and understanding of the history of Judaism and how it intersects with other religions. He believes education is one of the most important ways communities can combat the spread of hate.
There are systemic challenges and problems in terms of the way certain religious communities teach sacred texts that at their roots, sometimes if they're not read critically, can spread anti-Semitism, both within Christianity and within Islam, two religions that I completely honor and support.
Rav Aubrey is an advocate for interfaith work and calls on people to learn more about not only Judaism, but also their own faith. He says there are resources available to answer any questions people might have, like the Jewish Federation of Greater Dayton. Kathy Gardner is the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Dayton. She says along with education, people need to have the courage to call out hatred within their own circles.
Instead of being a bystander, we become upstanders. And anybody who faces intolerance or injustice should follow whatever characteristics they have as an individual to fight the intolerance or injustice that exists.
While there is still work to be done to stop the spread of anti-Semitism, Rav Aubrey hopes to inspire people of all faiths to dig deeper into their own traditions and spread a message of hope.
There's a lot that's broken in the world, but Judaism is telling us that our responsibility is to do something about it, to be part of the solution and not to be part of the problem, that we have the opportunity and the ability, each of us in our own ways, to be able to bring some repair to this broken world.